Oh, hey everybody, welcome to the Chan's Logic Podcast. I've got Dave Picardy with me all the way from North Shore.
North Shore.
North
Where is
Shore.
that,
Now,
Chandler?
well, I know it's not Hawaii, I found out. And so I'm assuming it's out in Boston. Hey, check out the dog.
Whoop, whoop. There's Max.
He says, love me, play with me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what you're doing.
So North Shore is, there's a North Shore of Hawaii. There's a North Shore of Chicago. How about a shout out to the North Shore of Chicago, where there's also a Beverly in Chicago, where we actually gave up our CrossFit Beverly URL to years ago. Great gym out there. And then we get the North Shore of Long Island. I believe there's the North Shore of Australia. And I am in the North Shore of Boston.
Man, so many shores, so little time.
We've been in the gym business for 13 years now. So with North Shore CrossFit, which was our CrossFit affiliate name, because it was North Shore, we'd get requests from all those places.
Everybody getting confused.
Yes.
Which shore are you on exactly? And you got to send that email like, well, so here's what you should check out on this shore.
Right. Yeah, it was always interesting. But back in the day, there was so North Shore CrossFit was, currently we sit as the 36th affiliate in the world. So back when, we were first getting going with a lot of this stuff, there was no affiliates anywhere else. So if it said North Shore CrossFit, people from all those places thought it was their North Shore.
They're like, I know that place.
Yep.
Like,
So it was interesting.
You should have just started like a North Shore Fitness and just started capitalizing on all the different areas.
We did. We actually had, we originally started as North Shore Fitness and Wellness. And then it was, we wanted to be more specific to that gym. We had two gyms and we were messing around with the name. And eventually it became North Shore and it was CrossFit. But we should have left it fitness back then. And now we're Treehouse School of Fitness.
Yeah. Treehouse has a nice ring to it.
We think it's cool. It makes it, there's a theme, right? You come into the gym, everybody, if they haven't been there in years, like they just walk in and go, wow, right? This place looks really good. And it's just because it's a branded theme and everything flows together. And then it allows us to do if we want to do any little nooks and cranny things, we make it all relevant to the treehouse. And so now it all makes sense, right?
That's a huge piece. It's build your brand around your personality and how you want your gym's personality to be, and then organize every outward facing thing to reflect back on that brand. It's like Stone Age Fuel. Everything's blue. The logo is blue and orange. The entire gym is blue and orange. We have a goofy culture, a fun culture. So whenever anyone walks in the gym, we say, welcome to Stone Age Fuel, where the streets are paved with gold. And then everybody loves it. They laugh. We answer the phone like that. And it's a huge piece of culture.
Yep. That's cool. We actually, just recently we had our Great Bape fixed, right? But we have a life-size, like a human-sized gorilla at the gym that one of my members brought in years ago. And he was like, this doesn't fit in my house anymore. And he left it at the gym. And this thing's been stuck in the rafters and all over the place. And so now that we have a treehouse culture, Great Bape actually fits into the gym better because he actually is a gorilla in the treehouse. Right? So
it's perfect.
It's perfect.
And that's huge. It's like your members start to understand, figure it out too, and then they play into it. And then that's how you know you have a huge amount of culture established in your place. It's not just what you want to happen. It's how your members respond and react to it, and your clients if you don't have members.
Right. Yep. So we've been pretty happy with that. So why are we on this call today, Chandler?
So I think today we're going to talk about why the team aspect in a business is so important, and why if there's too much incentive on the individual, the overall team suffers and it shatters, and it makes it not impossible, but pretty difficult to make the team want to work together if there's no kind of key performance indicators or ideas that want to help the team propel forward as a unit rather than individually.
Right. Yeah, we're finding that we just adjusted our comp plan a little bit to match the program and to match the team, right? And shifted it into the team responsibilities. which was important because we're still seeing it. Like I got to meet with everybody every day and get everybody on board with each other. But we saw a culture where everybody was so focused on themselves and so focused on like their own client book of business, going and getting their own clients. Their heads all stuck in the computer. I walked in one day into our big reception area. There was 5 coaches. No one's talking to each other, and they're all on their computers, right? And my thing is, like, what's everybody doing, right? Like everybody should be, right, juicing the community, working on the program, working on events, right? They should all be cutting social media stuff, having fun together. You're like, that should be the environment that I witness, right? And so that was a powerful day for me because I already knew it, right? We were already seeing it where most of these gyms in our industry, the functional fitness gyms, focus so much on community. And then they do an exceptional job with the community. And their business practices stink and their coach pay stinks. And they can't, they're not making it because they're only focusing on one end. And we've then put so much work and effort into the business aspect and the coach pay and all those things that I think it took away from me, and maybe this is just my gym, but it took away from the community team aspect of what was going on. It was like a shift into the extreme of the other side, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think we start to see that a lot when it's the individualized performance points or the individualized compensation plans only focus on the individual and don't have any kind of team-based aspects. It's only natural for people to want to focus on themselves and build what they're doing because that's the only thing they see in front of them that's going to make them move forward. Right. And like for us, it's so in our KPIs and our culture and what we've done in the gym is we don't do anything individualized. People don't organize events for their own little like cliquey community or their own community or whatever we call it. People don't organize things on their own. So every time we do bi-weekly meetings and the whole team is together for the meetings, then the team gets together and organizes things themselves as well. So they do all the programming together, the social media content together. They go out and they talk to people. They open doors to Starbucks for people together. We have this culture established and the performance indicators that help the team propel themselves forward, and they all want to work together. And what I found that really helps a lot with is the business actually grows that way rather than just the individualized books or just the individualized coaches. The whole business propels forward because you have one unit working together to make everything kind of happen.
Right. And I think that's key. Like that's some of the things we struggled with. And if anyone in here, Chandler and I both do a lot of work with Mad Lab Group. We run a Mad Lab model in our gym, which is it's game changing, right? It's the way to go. But there's certain aspects that need to be customized for your gym, right? And your culture and what you're doing. And that was one of the things that you and I both found was that team side of things. And I know we used to run lots of workshops and seminars and events and a lot just nonstop. And then over the last few years, all of it dried up, and it's always, you're waiting for a coach who's individually incentivized to run a workshop, to run an event, right? To run a specialty program. You're waiting for them to, one, learn enough to actually be able to do it, and two, actually just go do it, and they don't, right? And so, now we're looking at it going, we went back and revamped our program's real tight, and everything connects to each other, and everything has a reason. It all fits together, right? Like this theme fits into that theme, and fits into an annual theme, and so now we're reestablishing the workshop series. So this is the series. The business runs the series, right? I established this is the series, and now all the coaches have to perform their team function into the workshops, right? Now they have to everybody works as a team to get it done and have it be a success.
Yeah, and that's huge. And then you'll find when you're doing it that way, you're saying, here's what we're doing. Here's the series. Here's our calendar of events that we're going to do for the whole year. And then they're going to organize it together and get together. And what you find that's really interesting is they all kind of congregate together and leverage their strengths. That's so maybe one coach is up speaking, one coach is in the back kind of managing all the electronics to make sure it gets recorded. Maybe one coach is walking around working on people or talking to people, answering questions. And so you'll find that they're all leveraging their own strengths, but working together as a unit. And I think bringing up the workshops is a good point. You can't get away from that stuff because that's your introduction to the community. You do all this social media posting and all this content production and all this information to build a relationship. And then you need to push that relationship further. So you set up an event, maybe a 20-minute event that people can come to that your coaches host and put together as a team. And then from the event, now your relationship is really strong and they're going to want to convert over into your other programs.
Right. Well, that totally breaks from talking about, well, I guess it is still teamwork and compensation. Now you got me wanting to jump topics here, Chandler.
Yeah, we're all over the place today.
We just got all over the place. So let me do this. So let's set up another. I'm going to give a plug to Chan's Logic podcast coming up soon in the next couple of weeks. But let me throw a little nugget out there for everybody. So in our business, we've spent a lot of time trying to figure out, originally it was like, let's go down the line, like free week, free class, drop in whenever you want, Saturday boot camps, drop in free Saturday team wads, bring a friend day, bring a friend month, like all those things, right? And one of the issues is we're all one-trick ponies where we think fitness is one big, huge class where you mix everything together and you have 40 of them a week. And that's supposed to satisfy the needs of lots of individuals and communities and everything. And it doesn't. And so since it doesn't, everybody runs into problems. And then we created on-ramps at one point. So if anyone doesn't know, whatever it was 10 years ago, I was one of the first people to implement an on-ramp. We all did it at the same time. There was only a handful of us. And it didn't work. Right. So then we ended up, with Mad Lab, we do lots of personal training to start, which is if you have a high skilled program, you have to do personal training and individualization to start that program. It's unethical to throw somebody right into that environment. They're not ready for it. They're not actually getting the coaching they need. They're going to get hurt. We know all these things. But what we've done is we've eliminated the introduction to the community. You have to have lots of bring a friend days to the community, right? But bring a friend day doesn't have to be to class. So you need to, we have a whole system and thing we talk about this, but you need to be able to identify those and actually then market those and train people. Seminars are a great spot. There's lots of great ways to bring people in, but in order to build a community, bring a friend is 99% of what you need to be doing.
Yeah, it's huge. There's no way to get in front of people other than getting them to come in your facility and giving them some value. And it stems into the idea that you got to give more than you take, especially if what you're asking for up front is more expensive than what the common or standard is in the gym industry.
That's right.
It's a relationship.
So that was the nugget. That was sidetracking, right?
Yeah.
So
we'll get into that in another episode. That'll be fun. So talking about team and coach-based compensation, I think, so when we modify it and we move it from just individual performance and move it into team performance, what do you think some of the best practices are?
So key KPIs, so let's identify that for anybody. So key performance indicators, right? So if you're not sure, if everyone's been looking it up since we've been talking. So
what is that?
So when you get into, so we have it broken into 4 categories, right? So, from the team aspect, one, you have to pay them out of recurring revenue, right? So the gym brings in recurring revenue. So the mistake lots of people make is they're not actually sharing that with the coaches. And so there needs to be a system in place to share that with your coaches so that everybody has a stake in the game. So now when you want to measure that, ours is we do team facility cleaning duties, right? So we actually make sure the whole place, every job, every ounce of the gym, everything is accounted for and assigned. So now we know it's happening on a weekly basis. So that's one of the indicators. So we weigh that 25% of pay for their recurring revenue. So if they don't do the job and another coach has to pick up the slack or they just don't do the job, right? They're not getting paid for it, but they're incentivized pretty good to do the job as a team because they are a piece of the team and they have to do it with them. So, and this comes down to the pay side of it, not necessarily like you have some great stuff on what they do as a team to go out. The second KPI for us is marketing. So we work with Out of the Cave Media for marketing, and we have our content scheduled every week, and we have Chandler runs the meetings with the team, and everybody sets exactly what's going to happen for content and themes and how we want to do it and all that, and it all needs to be produced. So everyone has a responsibility to produce their content and how they're going to do it. So now that weighs 25%. That KPI weighs in 20. So if they don't do it, they're not getting paid that percentage, right? And the team needs them to do it. So it's everybody on the team is sharing that one duty. The next one is community events, right? So any events, parties, if we're doing challenges in the gym, whatever that stuff is, we weigh that with a KPI. So the team, like you said, gets together and they decide what they're going to do. Everybody takes their roles and responsibilities with it. And if someone drops the ball, they don't get paid for it. And if they do their job, they've done their job to their team, right? They can't let their buddy down. And that's an important piece. And the fourth piece for us, which is another 25% weighting, is client interaction. And we have a whole system in place for client interaction, what's supposed to happen, when it's supposed to happen. And most of that is how the clients interact with the community. So now we make sure the coach's job, they have their own group that they work with. Their job is to facilitate their clients actually interacting with the community so that it's one big community and it's all working. So that's what we run for KPIs. We get systems in place and lots of detail associated with that, but it makes up 100%, which is for recurring revenue that we share with the coaches.
Yeah, those are really good ideas, and that's similar to the way kind of we structure it. And it's, and if you look at it, you take those four things, and that's pretty much how our staff meetings cycle. So it's where are our events at? How's your client interaction going? What are you doing with your marketing? And how are we doing with kind of how the whole overall team function is running and all of that? And I think when you organize it this way and you put weight on each different aspect and subset, it encourages or it forces the team to actually work together. Because now it's not, I have to maintain my own things and do my own book and all these like social media and workshops and events and all these things are extras that I have to do or I'm forced to do. And it turns into, these aren't extras. These aren't things I'm forced to do. These are things I'm getting paid for. And now that that's wrapped into your pay, and now that that's associated with what you make, and once that's embedded in your culture, now you've created the environment where your team works together. They're one unit. They need to get together, and they make it a priority.
Right.
I think a big piece with a lot of gyms that we see is they don't prioritize things like their marketing. They think of it as an afterthought. And so then we get comments like, I've ran this same 6-week challenge several times in a row, and I've noticed the last 4, it's diminished and I'm not getting leads anymore.
That's right.
And it's the idea, well, what's your team doing for your marketing and content? Oh, well, we don't do anything. Okay, well, let's get some performance indicators and get your team working together so you actually produce these things. What workshops are you doing? Oh, well, we don't do any. Okay, well, then let's organize your KPIs around that. What's going on? Why is it not happening? What's wrong with your team?
That's right. And it's just, we made a big adjustment because we went hard down one path, and we just saw it. I had a meeting today breaking it down, going, there's no teamwork. There's no this. Like, there's one person saying it. I'm like, well, the rest of the team is doing teamwork. There's a disconnect here, right? You can't work by yourself and grow business to interact with a community that you're not interacting with. It doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all in. The whole team, right? Everybody's working. Everybody's doing their job. And what we're talking about is separate from like billable hours, right? Then there's like teaching classes and doing personal training. And those are billable hours. And those are fall into a separate category. Like a lot of this stuff here, when we're talking about like the necessity and the team side and these KPIs we just talked about, like for us, we pay recurring revenue. So, we pay up to 30%, so coaches that have a $10,000 book of business are getting an extra $3,000 a month in revenue coming at them.
Yeah, it's a really effective, like almost like a bonus based system, and you could consider that your brand growth and traction compensation plan.
Right.
So it's the key piece that's missing in most gyms on actually growing your brand and building that brand and getting your staff behind it. So the owner's not the only one trying to do all this.
Exactly. So yeah, compensation and teamwork.
Yeah,
it's important. It's kind of important.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. It's kind of like Chandler and I. We're kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I think some people like us out there.
It's not many, but some do.
Yeah, a couple. I think there's like 2 or 3 that listen to our stuff.
All our clients like us, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. We're 100% focused on them.
That's right.
That's what it's about. It's building that culture of caring, the interaction. Like, what can I do? Even if it's what's not working, how can we fix it? What can we adjust? And just constant communication and interaction, which reflects hugely in the business world too, or the gym business world. Like how often are you talking to your clients? Are you hanging out with them? If they invite you to go out and do things, are you showing up, or do you make excuses as to why you can't go? Have you decided that professionalism versus personalization has to be separated, or can you be the professional who does hang out with their clients and has fun with them?
Right. And that's an interesting point. You don't have to be. So here's something that, like, if some of it is like, so say you're not an expert in your field, but you're good with relationships, right? And so now we're like best friends, and I treat all my people like best friends. So most of we see a lot of really bad gyms out there that have good communities and cultures, but their training is god awful, and it's because it's not anyone's real fault. It's just they don't get that they have bad training going on, right? But that doesn't mean people are quitting everywhere, because they're putting more effort into the relationship and the community and all that stuff. So that's one way of doing it. But some people, that's not their thing, right? Like going out and hanging out, or never mind, like I always see it with people that don't have families. So if you don't have a family and you're out 7 nights a week hanging with all your clients, it's doable, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you get married, it's probably not doable. And the second you have a kid, everyone goes, "What happened?" Right? Where'd you go?
Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
Right? Because it's just, it is what it is. And so you can't build a system and a culture around, like, everyone has to do this or everyone has to do that, because each individual coach, right? If you're not a person that's go hang out and show up at all this stuff, right? You better be an expert. There better be a reason why they come into the gym. You're giving them such huge value and right? And changing their lives, right? That's just as good.
Yeah, that's huge. It's like the concept, leverage your strengths. So if you don't like hanging out with people, you better be good at what you do, and you better give them the time of their lives whenever they are in the gym.
That's right. That's
really showcasing what you offer. If you don't, you're just going to be a revolving door.
Right. So I think the winners, which we see, you see them, they're out there, the superstars everywhere, is the people that have the social skill, right? And they're building unbelievable social relationships, and they're experts in their craft. Right? Those people are formidable in the business.
Yeah, those are the unicorns.
But the issue that we run into is, like, this happened to me years ago, right? I'm a unicorn. So it's when you try, like, so if you step aside and now you have coaches doing it, you're no longer a unicorn. You're only as good as your weakest link. And that's why this team approach, like, how do you bring coaches up? How do you train coaches? What's the culture around mastering coaching? All that stuff. It starts at the top, and it has to be done as a team. If not, you like, how is it? Like, I used to get frustrated where it's like, what is going on? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I spent 10 years making sure that never happened in a gym, and, like, I just heard a coach teach it, right? Like, you're going, what happened? But really what happened was there wasn't a team approach to, like, team education, team, right, training, team breakdown of how the programming works, so everybody's on the same page and everybody's participating.
Yeah, that's it. And that just comes down to the fact that you're building a sellable asset. And if you build a sellable asset, you have to have people you've replicated to do exactly what you could do the way you do it.
Right.
And then when you pull yourself out and people say, well, why can't I work with you? And you tell them, well, my staff is trained to the same level as I am, and they're going to be just as good. And then they follow through with that because you've set up your business and systems in a way that they've been compensated enough to want to grow themselves in every different aspect, not just the hard skills. They know the soft skills. They know how to manage and run things, and they really understand what it takes to propel the business forward. And then they develop the passion that the business owner has.
Right. Yep. So this is a really good topic. This is a great one, man.
Yeah.
So how do you, like, what should owners do, right? Like, I know, like everybody needs a coach, you know, so like the two of us are obviously, favor Mad Lab stuff. Right? Mad Lab's fantastic. It offers so much for coaches and owners, right? Out of the Cave Media, obviously, for some stuff, but what other resources do you think people could reach out to for this?
I think if they really want to learn about this, they can go to my blog, Chan's Logic, talk to Out of the Cave or Mad Lab. They're both incredible. They can even talk to you at Treehouse. I think people could email you and just ask some questions and get an idea of what your compensation plan looks like. Dave at treehouseathletics.com. They can email me, Chandler at stoneagefuel.com. And I think the way you get your feet wet with this, though, is start organizing staff meetings and start talking about the stuff and see how your coaches react to it. And then once you start developing an understanding of where they're at, like, do they want to just be coaches? Do they want to learn everything? Are they in pursuit of mastery? Then you should look into moving forward with a compensation system like this through Mad Lab or through Treehouse, or looking at Chan's Logic blog to learn more about this kind of stuff. And once they understand that, because I think if they try to flip this upside down right away, a lot of their coaches are going to leave, and they're going to lose the people who maybe don't necessarily want the soft skills or the sales skills. And if they have a plan of action from someone who's done it before, I think they can weather the storm a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I mean, we've been consulting for years now, and that's always one of the first things I always say when we're talking to people is do not go change anything right away, right? You, especially like I'm a big fan of, say, in the coaching world. I can use coaching as an example. If right, your barbell club, which is exceptional, right? So if anyone doesn't know, Chandler has a kick-ass barbell club. He just got finished running the American Open. We used to have a kick-ass barbell club until I stepped aside and had coaches running that stuff. We actually shut the club down. It's on its way back right now, though. Anyone's listening, Tuesday night, 4:30 to 6:30, coming out of retirement.
Oh, he's making it happen.
Making it happen. We're going to have all sorts of stuff running over there and unbelievable coaching. So
that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, my last meet I coached at was the Masters, Pan Am Masters, and then I shut it down. So that was in 2010 or 11.
Oh, good times.
I lost my train of thought.
Man, it was a good topic too. I could see the wheels turning.
We're coming at it. I get sidetracked. I'm a talker. Yeah. I'm a talker.
I think the big thing for people is you can work with a consultant in the business world. I do think a mentor is probably the best thing for anybody. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you always have a mentor who's a step ahead of you, you learn a lot and you won't make the same mistakes that maybe they made.
Right. Yeah, that's
so I think what you do is you organize what you think you want to do and what you think your KPI should be and what you really need to grow the business. And then you develop a plan around it. And once you develop that plan, find someone outside of your gym to read it and get feedback. And then if you do get to a point to where you need to work with the consultant, then you find someone like Mad Lab, or if your marketing needs to take a step ahead of the game, you work with someone like Out of the Cave Media. If you just want free information and help, you go to Chan's Logic. I have just thousands of blogs and information people can read and learn from. We don't charge for anything on there.
That's right. I remembered what I wanted to talk about, Chandler.
Oh, go.
So you just said it like you said, like I think. Right. So one of the things that it's a big pet peeve of mine is never copy anybody's stuff and think, right? You know the answers or you know what's going on with it because you see it on the surface, right? So in weightlifting, I see it where people copy other people's programs. Like I am on, the 5-3-1 program. I'm on, right? Like whatever, right? Like Texas Strength. I'm on, like everybody's on a program. Like but unless you've actually trained under a coach that really understands what that program is all about and the system behind it, you shouldn't just be implementing stuff to implement them. Like know that Texas Strength that's the only program that they do for life, right? Like,
Yeah.
And the coach has variables of how they cycle through, right? But that's it. Like they don't say, okay, guys, now we're going to do 5-3-1, right? Like it's just not how. Like coaches have a coach has a coach's system, and that's their system, and they're not randomly throwing stuff into it. And so like amateurs switch, right? Small off program, then they're playing with starting strength, and then they're playing with 5-3-1, right? And then they say, Penlay's got a program. I'll run that for the next quarter. Like Penlay doesn't run anybody else's program. He runs his own program, right? Experts run their own program. Amateurs copy other people's programs. So if you're an amateur, make sure you talk to the expert that put it together so you actually understand what's going on, right? Because if not, you're going to make a mistake. There's going to be something you didn't think of, and you'll figure it out when it hits you in the face, right?
That's it. Yeah, if you copy something, understand the reasonings behind why it was built, and probably get a hold of the people who actually built it so you can really work to understand kind of what it is and the reasonings behind it and what your journey is going to look like going down the road as you implement it. And then if you create your own new, unique thing, just know you're going to have a lot of ups and downs and a lot of things to understand as you work through it. You're going to see some things that don't work, some things that work great, and it's going to evolve and modify as you go through it all.
Yep. That's it. And then I think another thing is that, like, I've never done it, is I've always paid for information. I've seen it over the years. Friends of mine, I've watched them do it. Like, they've always told me, "Dude, stop. You spend too much time with people for free, and like then you don't have any money on the other side because you wasted all your hours." And you and I put out a lot of free information, but then we do it to scale, right? So if you're out there and you're looking to improve on certain things, like that stuff, make sure you invest in yourself, right? And hire people to do good work for you so that they give you 100% of their energy. If you're picking brains all the time, getting information from here, getting information from there without actually engaging in a service with someone of some sort, and it's their information and their knowledge is their value, right? So, you get more out of it. One, for yourself, you'll actually put more effort into it if you pay for something, but you'll get more out of it from the person that's giving it to you if they've been compensated in some fashion for it.
Yeah, that's it. I was just talking about this with another guy, and we give out all the free information and everything because it's a long-term plan. We know it's going to benefit us 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And what happens when we get all this information out is everyone's going to try to piece it together. And when they can't figure it out, that's when you come into the picture. When you're at the point to where you're frustrated and you're like, I've read everything you put out. I understand all what you're saying, but I just can't make it work. Right. That's when you hire that mentor who you've been consuming the content from to actually help you move it forward and develop a system for you. So that's the person who can say, all right, so you've been watching and reading my stuff, listening to our podcast for a while now. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And what's your long-term plan? And then the mentor can take that, organize it in a way where it actually works as a strategy and helps you establish goals and propels you forward and build you a legitimate system out of it. And that's mastery.
Mastery. Key to, you know what the secret to mastery is? What's never that? Master anything.
That's right. It's a continual pursuit of excellence.
That's it. It never ends. And when you think you've mastered it, go right back to the beginning.
That's right. You probably haven't figured it out.
So from the martial arts world, I do a lot of Filipino arts, and it was probably, at this point, it's been 15 plus years. One of the guys I used to train with, and under, really, like he was, from a sparring standpoint, he used to eat me alive, and no one ate me alive, right? And this guy would just, like, we'd go, and he was he's probably 70 now, like this guy was in his mid-50s, no pads, right, no anything, like full on, like stick combat, right, punching, kicking, everything, right? And I just couldn't touch the guy. He'd crush me every time. And he wore a white belt, right? That was his thing. He always had a white belt on, never anything else. And that was his thing, was he was like a fifth dan and Shotokan karate, and then he did Filipino arts for years and all this stuff. So he's like, I don't know what belt I am. I'm a newbie again, right? So
That's
taught
funny.
me a
He's
lot.
like, that's huge. It's like no matter where I'm at, I'm a beginner because I'm always learning something new.
Always learning something new, right? You just know who cares about rank, and yeah, it's funny because I actually adopted that, so I don't show or wear rank ever. When people ask me my rank, I go, I don't know, right?
Yeah, it's funny. People, I always know that people might not necessarily know as much as they say when they label themselves as guru or any of these terms.
Right.
And I always find I never use that term. I try not to identify with anything like that because it's the second you decide you're at that point is when you're going to stop learning and ultimately fail.
That's all.
And so,
and actually, so I like in Indonesian. So Bapak William Detua, like these pretty good masters that are out there, right? They are technical masters. Like there's no one better at their craft. But when you look at like guru, sifu, like all those words, it's just teacher, right? It's teacher in that language. So you're just saying teacher.
Yeah.
It's your teacher. You know, it's not an expert master. Like you know if it's a master.
Yeah, that's it. The master has the aura established without having to say anything about it, and they'll be the first people to tell you, I know things, but I don't know everything, and I'm always learning. New things are coming out. I'm trying to understand what's happening. I'm trying to keep up with the times and what's going on, and that's what makes you better. You're adopting practices before they come out because you're learning and understanding trends.
That's right. That's right. So it makes all the stuff that we're doing so powerful.
That's right. So always trying to be a step ahead of the game. Got to learn what people are doing before they do it, why they're doing it, why relationships are important, and building that culture of caring around everybody.
That's right. Cool. All right, brother, this was a good one. You know, we already talked about one that's coming up that I can't wait to jump on with you and do.
Yeah, that one will be exciting. How the team works collectively together. So everybody can look forward to seeing that one coming out soon.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on the podcast, Dave.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me.
Exciting. Yeah, this will be episode 19. Good times. Yeah.
It's a nice, even number. I like that.
True. It's wonderful. Start producing everything in even numbers.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, Dave. If anybody has questions, you can always email me or comment on the podcast. Use the hashtag ChansLogic or email me, Chandler@stoneagefuel.com. If you've got questions for Dave, email him, Dave@treehouseathletics.com. And we'll take care of you. We're all about just helping you move forward and propel yourself along.
Very cool. All right, man.
All right.
Later.
See ya.